Okay, guys, this one was a doozy. Last night, I went to see Amsterdam, and it's getting really bad reviews, but I didn't care. Why didn't I care? Because the last David O. Russell movie that came out, Joy, I actually liked quite a bit. It got really bad reviews, maybe not bad, just mediocre, but I thought it was a really good movie. Now, I am an unapologetic fan of Shark Tank, and maybe it's because of that I ended up liking Joy. But I felt like I liked David O. Russell enough to give this movie a shot nonetheless. David O. Russell is the director of this movie, and what I like most about David O. Russell is that he really gets the best out of his performers. Is he known for his beautiful cinematography? No. Is he known for his VFX and beauty? No, it's not about that. It's really just about getting performances out of his actors, and he's proven to do that countless times. The Fighter, where Christian Bale won his first Academy Award for. Then you had Silver Linings Playbook, which is a fantastic movie in my opinion. I love that movie so much. And that's one of the few movies where every person got nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. And then he made American Hustle, which, if I'm not mistaken, did the same thing again, where Bradley Cooper, Christian Bale, Amy Adams, and Jennifer Lawrence were all nominated. And I like American Hustle quite a bit, although not as much as Silver Linings Playbook. It's still an enjoyable movie. And like I said, Joy most people did not like. I enjoyed it quite a bit for what it was. And now we're at Amsterdam. This movie is bad. Amsterdam, this movie is bad. Alright, so you have three friends, Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, John David Washington, and they're framed for a murder. And they're trying to uncover this kind of conspiracy that's going around so they can make themselves not guilty. That's the premise of the movie. There's been an uptick of murder mysteries ever since the release of the original Knives Out movie. There's Knives Out 2 coming out, but Knives Out kind of proved that there's still an interest for that Agatha Christie style murder mystery. Knives Out was extremely profitable. Netflix ended up buying the Knives Out sequels for millions of dollars. So now you're getting all of these kind of movies that are trying to jump on the bandwagon. See How They Run was released recently. I haven't seen it yet. And then there's this movie that's kind of doing the same thing, taking place in the 1920s. And that's something I like about this movie, is the 1920s look of it. When you're going through this city, everyone has battle scars from World War I. Most notably Christian Bale's character, but also John David Washington's character has a few scars, and just people walking around in the background, they all have scars, despite it being the roaring 20s and everyone is economically happy, and it's this very boisterous time. That's what I think really worked about this movie, is just the look of it itself. And there's some beautiful set pieces in here, and they really recreate the 1920s really well. Christian Bale crushes it in this movie. It really is his movie. So he plays this guy who's a doctor, who used to be a doctor during World War I, and then he comes back home, and now he's addicted to painkillers. He's missing an eye. He's very awkward. His wife hates him. He's very down on his luck. He reminded me a lot of Joaquin Phoenix in Inherent Vice when it comes to that. Just this very aloof character walking his way through life, stumbling around. A very slapsticky performance, and something you wouldn't see Christian Bale do all that often, but he really works in this movie as this lovable goof. Christian Bale in this movie not only sports an eye patch and a glass eye, he also has a back brace. One might say that he has that back brace because of his war injuries. I would argue he has that back brace from fucking carrying this movie on his fucking back. The biggest problem I have in here is that the story is convoluted, which isn't necessarily bad. Like I said, movies like Inherent Vice or even The Big Lebowski, they have very convoluted stories, but sometimes it's not always about the story more so than it is about the character. When you watch Inherent Vice, which I don't think is a perfect movie by any means, but when you watch that movie, you're watching it for Joaquin Phoenix, and then there's other performances in there as well, like Josh Brolin does a really good job in that movie. Or when you watch The Big Lebowski, it's such a convoluted movie. It starts getting involved with porn stars and yada yada yada. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But you don't really care because You love Jeff Bridges as the Big Lebowski, and you like John Goodman and Steve Buscemi and all of these quirky characters all coming together. What this movie lacks is the characters. Yes, Christian Bale is doing a phenomenal job in this, but other than him, no one is really memorable. But despite this having one of the craziest casts of the year, there's really nothing going on. I'm a huge Mike Myers fan. I'm a huge Michael Shannon fan. I love Michael Shannon and everything he's in. They're somehow boring in this movie. They have no character. Then you have some people that are cast in this movie just for the clout, just for the name. Taylor Swift is in this movie. She's not good in it, and she's not even significantly in the movie. Same thing with Chris Rock. Chris Rock is kind of doing like a comeback with his career, trying to make movies like the Saw remake he made, and he was in one of the seasons of Fargo. I still can't really buy him as an actor, and I have seen him in a good movie. Top 5 was a good movie with Chris Rock, but I feel like he's just an awkward performer, and he's really difficult to take seriously sometimes. Rami Malek is in this movie, as well as Anya Taylor-Joy, two of the hottest people in Hollywood right now. Rami Malek is coming off of his Oscar, and Anya Taylor-Joy is like a modern day scream queen, where she's just like your unconventional beauty, but she's awesome. They're boring in this movie. Everyone is really boring in this movie. Even Margot Robbie and John David Washington, they don't have much character to them. The extent of their character is that Margot Robbie thinks she has a medical disease, but turns out she doesn't. And John David Washington doesn't really do anything. Every line is delivered very flat by him. Same thing with Margot Robbie, same thing with everyone who isn't Christian Bale in this movie. And I think the reason why people like murder mysteries, like Knives Out, is because you have a cast of flamboyant characters. In the first Knives Out movie, you had Toni Collette, who's chewing up the scenery. Chris Evans is also chewing up the scenery. Everyone is chewing up the scenery. And here it's just not that. There's just nothing. No one is like playing a character, which is the whole appeal of watching a murder mystery, is to get the perspectives of all of these quirky characters. What I do like about this movie is that it really does have that Art Deco look. Even when Christian Bale is just posing, he seems to be like always posing in like some strange position like that. And it kind of gave me the vibe that I was watching like an Art Deco character of a painting or something like that. But he's the only one committing to that. He's the only one doing that exaggerated performance to fit the style of which this movie is trying to pay homage to. All the other characters are just playing dress up. They weren't playing in a movie. It really felt like, okay, we have Chris Rock for a weekend, let's throw him into the movie. And it's so distracting too, because you'll be watching the movie and all of a sudden, oh, here's Zoe Saldana, and then she's gone, and you're like, okay, why was Zoe Saldana in this movie? The editing is so off in this. Whenever there's a conversation going on, you could make it more intense by having the characters talk over one another, or have like back and forths, or some argument, some kind of conflict. Please, give me some kind of conflict. But the editing was just like dialogue, beat. Dialogue, beat. Dialogue, beat. Dialogue. And like I said with David O. Russell, he's not a filmmaker you watch for the cinematography or for the look of the movie. He really is more of a get the most out of your performers. But when that's lacking, all of his other shortcomings come to the foreground. Like the cinematography in this, I'm sure there's some bad cinematography in his previous movies. Here it's like distracting. They do like low angles whenever there's supposed to be a shot reverse shot. It's just low angles, and every angle is just very unappealing to watch. So what's this story about? What's going on? What is this whole mystery? What unfolds, you might ask? I'm gonna spoil the movie. Turns out this is all just a eugenics plot as you're about to enter World War II, which was very unsatisfying to me. I don't know, like, I think I was just expecting something a bit more, not to downplay eugenics. I think eugenics is terrible, and I don't encourage any country to partake in eugenics, but it's just the way they were setting it up. I was expecting some big reveal, but no, it's just eugenics. And I kind of knew from the start that Rami Malek and Anya Taylor-Joy were going to be the ones involved in it, because they're obviously the most assholey people in this movie. But one thing that really bothered me about the ending is where Christian Bale's arc goes. At the end of the movie, he just has like a kumbaya moment where he's just like, can't we just love one another? Love is the most important thing out there. And I'm like, who wrote this? This is like a second grader writes this. The ending, everything gets solved, and the character is just like, let's hold hands and love one another. And it's done in the most on-the-nose way ever. And I didn't even feel like it was earned. Like, I didn't feel the arc Christian Bale went through. It was just at the end, he was a different person, I guess. What was this movie? This is not a good movie. The more I think about it, the more frustrated I get. Skip this one, guys. Skip it. Yike! Skip it!